Yeah, we're good. Comics and Con, we're here with Bob Hall, man. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So we wanted to ask a few questions.
Sure.
So, you know, you did West Coast Avengers. You helped make Wonder Man. So, who is who is your favorite character you've drawn or made?
My favorite is something I did for a company called VALIANT. The character named SHADOWMAN, and I loved him because, first of all, I got to write it and draw it. First time I got to do that, and I got to reboot the character so that he became sort of my concept. And he was set in New Orleans, and that was pretty cool too. For one thing, I had to go to New Orleans a couple of times to check it out, and
Awesome.
we got to put a lot of New Orleans in there. So that was my all-time favorite. Probably at Marvel, my favorite was Captain America, just because he was the first really, truly iconic character that I got to draw. So I always had a soft spot for him.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope. SHADOWMAN, I did not know that you helped with that one. I did not know. I actually read a couple of SHADOWMAN still to very.
Good. Yeah, that was my book up until in that first run, the Valiant in the 90s, you know?
Oh, okay, yeah. That's when they kind of like made their mark in the 90s. So.
That's right.
So, one of my, the unsung heroes people don't talk about is Wonder Man, you know. Mm-hmm. I like him. Why don't you think he caught on as much?
I think, this is just a guess, that if you didn't read some of the good writing about him, and he was often a well-written character and a little different, but he was also just one more strong guy. That was his only power. I think maybe it was hard to identify what made him unique. And truthfully, what made him unique is a lot of the characters very quickly become trademarks. You know, they get set in stone. And he kind of evolved a little bit. He had a personality. That's what I liked about him.
Yeah.
But you kind of had to follow him in the first place to get that feel. If somebody wants to go back and read a good story with him, one that I did was called Emperor Doom, and it was one of Marvel's first graphic novels, and it features Wonder Man prominently, and I think it kind of gives you a taste of what he was like.
Okay, yeah. So I jumped into Wonder Man with the new suit.
Yeah.
So I didn't see the Wonder Man you showed me with the jacket before.
Yeah. Well, they see that Emperor Doom thing. That's the one I'm showing here on my convention sign. Is what he's referring to. And by that time, he was wearing this kind of a little bit cooler outfit, kind of a muscle shirt with the big W on it. But back in the earlier in the '80s, when I did the first West Coast Avengers, they always gave you a sheet which showed you how the character, how the character was drawn and what his costume was supposed to be, and he came with this red bush jacket, and I cannot figure out for the life of me exactly why he wore a red bush jacket, except again that it was different. It wasn't like anything anybody else was wearing.
It kind of looked Terminator-ish with that one, with that whole red jacket. Looked like Terminator on the team.
Yeah. It was funny. It was interesting.
So,
he also could fly with these little jets that are on his belt that I always thought, hey man, in reality those would have at least burned his pants off, even if he was invulnerable. But hey, it's a comic book, you know.
Yeah,
people can do anything.
You think it's possible in comics?
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of about. Is this Cheetah Wonder Woman's villain?
No.
Right?
Nope. That is Tigra.
Tigra, okay.
Who is a woman who became, I cannot remember for the life of me why, she became partially a tiger and had tiger stripes, except that she was very cool and very sexy, and I liked drawing her.
Understandable. We love her too.
Yeah.
So, have you been keeping up with the Marvel movies?
Yeah.
Do you like the depiction of Captain America in these movies?
Yeah, I think that they have done a remarkable job of capturing the feel of the characters. I can't say that I was crazy about the way they kind of wound them up a little bit in Infinity Wars, but then, it was like these guys were not going to go on and do more movies. Their contract was up, and I think they'd had enough. They didn't want to be, identified as Captain America all their lives. I think Chris Evans, well, first of all, Chris Evans is the only guy who's done two iconic characters. He did he was also in, they weren't great movies, but he was the best thing in them, the Fantastic Four movies, and he played the Human Torch.
He was a great Human Torch.
And he was a totally different character. You know, it's like the guy isn't just playing himself, he's being Captain America. And I don't think anybody has, I've done some work in the theater, and I don't think anybody has an idea about how hard it is to play an iconic character like that. It comes with a load of responsibility, and you have to be really, really a terrific actor as well as being an action hero. So you're not like Schwarzenegger, where you're playing Schwarzenegger. You're playing Captain America, and you got to embody that, and you got to embody Thor. And I think Marvel's done an amazing job of finding actors that kind of manage to flesh those things out. So I've just been very fond of it. The only one I thought was different, that they went a different direction with, was I drew Hawkeye a lot. Okay. He's still the one at conventions. People ask me always to draw Hawkeye, and he's a totally different character in the movies. He was always the wisecracking, sort of wise-ass guy. He's
much more serious
in the comic books. He's very serious in the movies and wears a very different costume. I think, I don't know why, I'd love to ask him someday, but I suspect it's because that wise-ass character they gave to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want to repeat it. But they did kind of repeat it with Chris Pratt in Guardians of the Galaxy. He would have been a perfect Hawkeye if they'd gone the original direction with it.
Yeah. So we see you got a few customers, so we're gonna wrap it up for you.
Okay.
We appreciate it, man.
This is fun.
Yep. Anything else you want to tell us you're working on? Anything you can let us know you're working on?
I am trying to do enough Comic Cons that I can not do anything else but do a independent graphic novel that I would write and draw, and I've got 2 of them that I want to do, and I'm hoping to come out with something in the next year and a half.
All right, we'll be looking. Thank you, man.
Thank you.